So this is called Clean Streets, and clean is an acronym for?
Right, the Clean Streets Initiative. California law enforcement, accountability now. The Clean Streets Initiative is all about making sure that we have coordinated law enforcement to use the powers of the law to force homeless people into treatment programs. When you take a look at the population surveys of the homeless individuals on the streets, not only is it going up dramatically in California, but the reason why is that the word's gotten out around the country that we don't enforce our laws. Prop 47, Prop 57, decriminalization of various drug categories. We coddle the homeless. ACLU has sued cities like San Diego to stop the enforcement of vagrancy laws, loitering laws, panhandling laws. And in LA and San Francisco, they don't enforce even if they had the ability to do so. And so we need to demand, before we put any tax increase into the hands of politicians, that we first get the restoration of the tools of law enforcement to help homeless people, to leverage them off the streets and into the treatment programs. Right now, we are literally funding failure. And on the March ballot, there's another tax increase, Measure C, a massive tax increase that voters are going to be asked to approve on March 3rd, and it would throw good money after bad. So not only am I opposing Measure C, the tax hike that's disguised as the solution to homelessness, it's not, but I'm also offering a credible alternative, which would do four things. Number one, demand that before we spend any additional tax dollars, full enforcement of the vagrancy, loitering, and panhandling laws must be restored. Number two, we would require that we put the money into the substance abuse and mental health programs, because 80% of homeless individuals on the streets have mental health or substance abuse issues. That's why they don't have a job. And because they don't have a job, they don't have the ability to afford housing. Number three, we need to coordinate our services into one stop so that when we give someone some housing assistance, whether it be a tent, shelter, or a housing unit, that the requirement is that they continue going through the mental health and substance abuse programs and follow the rules. We also need to open up the funding streams to all providers. Right now, government discriminates against faith-based providers, providers that require that you adhere to clean and sober living rules. What I say is fund success. Whatever works, fund that. Don't have these coddling restrictions and feel-good restrictions that actually tie the hands of homeless providers. And finally, let's put the homeless to work. Because I think we should have a welfare to work requirement that if you're a homeless individual and you're in a subsidized housing unit, if you're receiving welfare, that you should be put on a work crew, cleaning up our freeways, our streets, cleaning up our beaches and our bays, doing something productive. It's not only to pay back society for the help that we're giving, but it also, I believe, builds self-esteem, that they can do a job, they can complete a job, and it's the skill sets that you start building towards self-sufficiency. Can
I follow up with one question really quickly? You mentioned the continuing services and treatment that they need. No doubt that there is a large section of our homeless population that is dealing with drug abuse, specifically meth. It's a major problem, especially in San Diego County. And one of the problems is in the state of California, you can get law enforcement involved with a PERT team, psychiatric emergency response team. You can put them in the hospital, you can get them drug tested, you can put them in a mental health ward that would provide the treatment. But within 24 to 48 hours, that individual can say, no, thank you, I'm good. Because he prefers the life on the streets with his drugs, and that's it, end of story.
And 95% of them do that.
So where can we fix that? Because that is California law. That is what we have done. It is very hard to get someone treatment against their will. In many cases, many family members would say, and I've heard the stories over and over again, this person needs to be held against their will, but that's not what our law allows.
Well, because we passed Prop 47 and we changed those crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. And that's why you have only a short period of time that you can have a mandatory hold. We need to partner with the judges in the drug courts to say, Judge, this person's brought up on a felony, make it as a term of the release that they have to go to a clean and sober living program and that they have to follow the rules. And if they don't follow the rules, they go right back into the slammer. Look, everyone who's on the street, every homeless individual with rare exception, the 10% of that are economic, they cycle in and out. Most of our programs take care of those 10%. But the 90% are people whose families have given up on them. That love couldn't change their behavior, whether it's the mental health problems or the substance abuse problems. It couldn't. The love of the family could not convince them to try to fight for their lives and to break that cycle. So when love doesn't work, the law has to step in. That's where you use the stick of law enforcement to force these people into treatment. Because look, should we say, okay, fine, we'll let you, circle the drain on our sidewalks and impact tourism and impact the community and impact the quality of life and increase crime and create public health hazards in some cases with the rat epidemic that we have? The answer is no. We shouldn't have to live in that squalor. We should say we will give you programs, we will help you, but part of that is accountability for you to take the steps. And so I think the politicians, they're paying us lip service. They're saying, give us money, increase the taxes, Prop C. No more money for you guys. You've been funding failure. Your programs aren't working. Your approach isn't working. Enforce the damn law. And the only way we can enforce the law is that we got to grab the money and say no money for your Housing First programs until we restore law enforcement and give the tools to our social service workers to help these people break this cycle of dependency. This is the only real solution, and it has teeth. And if we're going to make progress on homelessness, the voters are going to have to intervene and be the adults and say, no more coddling. We want provable, accountable solutions. And that's what my initiative at 10 a.m. Will do. And we're releasing it, and I'm pretty excited about it.
What do you say to those who would say, well, this is, even though the laws are on the books, this is criminalizing homelessness? You already mentioned the ACLU. They're going to want to step in.
We're not criminalizing homelessness. If you are driving your car on the 15 freeway and you stop and you park your car, what's going to happen to you? And if you do it every day, you're impeding right away. We have laws that say there are shared areas like sidewalks, like our beaches, like our roads, that you cannot disturb the access to. So first and foremost, you and I have to comply with the law. Second, most of these individuals are committing crimes, whether it's the epic use of drugs. That is illegal. Now, the reason why we have the homeless explosion in California is that they know that we have decriminalized our drug offenses, and we no longer enforce our drug offenses. And they also know that do-gooders out there, and I think they're well-intentioned, but they are terribly misguided, have gone to the courts in California, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and said, don't bother the homeless. And so the police officers have been told, guys, just look the other way. You talk to any police officer, you talk to any firefighter, and they will tell you that their hands are tied, that they want to do something about this because it's not only good for the community to clean up the streets, but these individuals' lives, the homeless individuals' lives, are on the line. Without us standing up and forcing them into these programs, they will die. That's the reality. And that's a human tragedy that we have to have adults in the room. And the only adults here are going to be the voters saying, nope, no more taxes for you. No more tax increases, politicians. And look at these housing units they're building. $900,000 a unit for, quote, affordable housing. Give me a break. You can do a lot to help people beat their drug addictions and get on the right mental health medicine and deal with those demons with the amount of money that we are literally wasting on those housing programs, the Housing First program. And if you notice who's getting that money, politically connected developers who specialize just in homelessness. When you specialize just in homelessness, you have an incentive not to get the politicians to actually solve the problem. I mean, there are some development firms out there that all they do are these housing units, $900,000 a pop. There's a lot of shadiness happening here. So we need to have the voters step forward and say, accountability, measure the result, make it a competition that's open to all homeless service providers based on, can you get people off the streets? And is there retention? Do you see that they stay off the streets for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? And I want to do milestone payments that you don't get paid your full cost for dealing with that individual's treatment until they're off the street for 90 days. I want actual life-changing intervention for these individuals. That's what our initiative contains, are those accountability provisions.
Okay.
I know we'll be there for the announcement of the initiative later this morning. Carl, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks much.
Appreciate you being here.
And we have town halls. There you are. There's the board. Town halls, if you want to learn more and you want to be part of the campaign, El Cajon, Santee, Escondido, and you can get more on my website, carldemaio.org.
All
Carl,
right.
thank you.
Thanks, Carl.